Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the XForceGlobal channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing XRP's macro targets and see if there has been any changes in the trajectory of our narrative from our previous video using the Elliott Wave Theory. In my opinion, I still think that we are boiled down to two main ideas. Both of them are still very, very bullish, but we also do have one contender for a bearish idea that could end this bull run entirely if Bitcoin were to go south, but that is right now a very low in probability situation until proven otherwise, but we'll still go over that nevertheless as we need to remain neutral. Now, before we begin, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Your support means everything to me. Thank you so much. Now, let's start off with our first scenario. As you can see here, the first idea is working on the premise of a distribution phase for a possible wave 1, 2 here in the intermediate degree in the orange. And we do have a pretty clear 5-wave move up in the minor degree of the white and fits not only the right look of an ideal Elliott wave impulse, its internal counts of the corrective waves when you zoomed in, most notably the wave 4, is pretty objectively clear that each waves are in pretty much in their respective position, in my opinion, and there is no real market inefficiency to be observed at the current time. And fundamentally, from a market psychology perspective, this idea is working on the premise that we have already done the impossible. We've broken through so many hardships with the SEC case especially. We've broken the all-time high in most exchanges, and it's primarily working on the idea that smart money is already well positioned, and we are now letting the dumb money kind of decide whether they truly want XRP to continue this bull run or not. And as the smart traders are already risk-free at this point, they really have no real worries of getting into a loss at this point if you're especially exercising risk management. So with that being said, I think that after this clear 5-wave move that we had here, I think that could be leading us into a wave 1, and we could be going into a multi-month kind of distribution phase, like I said at the beginning of the video, which means that we only really have a few ways of seeing how this could be working out in terms of both the size and in time of how this wave 1 to be created. And in my opinion, I think I've narrowed it down as best as I can right now with the current data given, and it's most likely going to be possibly as a flat. Now, this could be developing into any corrective structure other than a triangle in itself for this wave 2, but right now, I think that just because we already had the initial move off the top, and we came down and we came into that respective previous demand zone and we've bounced 50% off the lows. I think that this may be turning into a 3-3-5 structure, a 3-3-5 structure, and this mode of correction is most likely going to be observed as a possible sideways flat 1-2. So if that's the case, we have the first wave A as a possible ABC to the downside, and this B wave, if we work correctively to the upside and not impulsively, this B wave might be the plausible situation where we're going to be creating maybe an extreme price extreme for a wave B above this previous high here. And a lot of people are going to be trapped or get at least some kind of bull trap, in my opinion. And then we'll come back down, reject. And then once we get back to these levels over here, that will be a bear trap in itself. So that's why these extremes are usually observed as a flat where we create equilibrium. And that should be a multi-month kind of corrective pattern going forward. And that in return should be giving us a pretty nice 1-2, considering all things. This time and structure should be giving us a fairly nice looking 1-2 as we stay above and hover above, some major important levels, especially with the distribution taking into place for this 1-2. So with that being said, I don't know if we're going to be coming down. That will be the bearish situation. However, since we did break out of this BD trend line that we've been discussing for the past 6 or 7 months or so, I think that this 1-2 right now might be developing if we're taking all of the smart money accumulation into play here. So market psychology is an extremely important thing when we're taking things into matter here. So that's the first scenario. Nothing really has changed. We discussed it. The most important thing is that this integrity of this 5-wave structure has a really nice look as an impulse wave. So what if we're not really working for a distribution phase? What if we're just going to be kind of aligning with the current situation for Bitcoin, Bitcoin's 5th wave that is, and maybe altcoins are just going to go rally before even harder than the actual distribution phase? What if we're kind of going back and forth between the decoupling and the coupling phase? What if we're just going to be aligning with Bitcoin altogether and we're just going to get a straight up rally? Well, if that's going to happen, it might mirror or reflect to the same behavior of what we saw in the previous bear cycle, or bull cycle rather, where we're just going to get a straight up shoot, but we won't get as an ambitious target because distribution is the most important thing when we're looking for a strong 5-wave move to the upside for a larger degree wave 5. And if that's the case, all we have to do is just shift everything to a lower degree and a higher degree in their respective counterparts, meaning that now we're working in a possible 1, 2, 3, 4 as the higher degree in itself, meaning that instead of having this as a 5-wave move to the upside, this is the distribution range in itself that is kind of similar to what we're trying to identify of a larger degree as a flat, but this may be the flat in itself for a wave 4, and we can just, if we're working impulsively and not correctively to the upside and we get a 5-wave move and we're able to identify that, that is most likely going to be the 5th wave in itself, and we will still get a pretty handsome reward target in terms of the actual move to the upside around $5 to the $10 region. And that should be the end of the bull market entirely. And that should reflect the same kind of behavior that we saw over here, where smart money was already accumulated at an earlier stage. And we saw a massive move here where the rest of the mass, or the mass of the markets, came into play. And that's what happened. And everyone sold off their positions at a higher level. A lot of people will get trapped here if this is going to happen. And if we are going to caution and exercise risk management, this is going to be definitely an important time to take profits. And I think that, in my opinion, we shouldn't be too ambitious, and especially if we're working for a 5-wave and we're able to identify that against a possible 3-wave, then that's not possibly going to be a distribution phase for that 1-2, and this may be the 5-wave in itself instead of having that 5-wave end here and have it going into a larger wave 1-2. And it could make sense because I do somewhat agree with the people who might see that this is too ambitious of a target. For example, if we get a 1-2 here, our most profitable wave is going to be a wave 3 of a higher degree, and that's already leading us into, $20 to $40 range, right? But that's the power of compound interest as well. Compounding, it means that it's much easier to go from $10 to $20 and $20 to $40 with each whole number being increased. And once we start breaking out of the $1 region, especially the $10 or $5 region, it gets easier to compound the numbers. And that's the beauty of how compounding works. But right now, we do have a lot of obstacles to go through. So with that being said, this also has that idea where we're going to go up quicker. It won't be as ambitious of a higher target, but it won't go, it will still give us a really good handsome reward target nevertheless, even if you're trading within these regions here. But for me personally, I am exercising risk management myself. I'm not adding any positions here. In fact, I've been quite clear from my previous video and also my social media that I've taken profits here, 50% that is, and I'm ready to take or offload, 25% along the way, and then another 25% for a more ambitious target around $7 to $10 if we're allowed to do that. If a bear market comes, no problem, because I'm already positioned here. And that's why I'm here to also explain my personal risk management strategies and how you can be applying that in the future coins that you might find another accumulation phase. We've discussed Litecoin as another example that we might be seeing the same XRP breakout that we had here earlier this year. So with that being said, right now we are looking for either this possibly being a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in itself, or that bullish triangle where we're going to be creating a multi-month distribution phase for a 1-2, and this is going to be an extremely very boring phase in my opinion, but hey, I mean, we already did 7 years of accumulation, so what is another year of sideways accumulation going to be doing to me? And you should also be taking this as a side of caution for possibly adding more positions. In fact, I think smart money is ready to buy up more positions here when it comes down to the sub $1 levels if that opportunity rises. So that's the two scenarios. And what if the bear market is already in? That is also a very plausible situation in my opinion. Since we did create a technical high above this wave 3, it is low in probability because I'm just working with a certain bias that Bitcoin is also still in its last final wave to the upside, and we still primarily have if we're going to be following the fractals of the previous bear markets, of course they're not going to be exactly the same, but if we are working in a 5th wave, that's typically when alt seasons are going to happen. But if Bitcoin were to go south and we were able to go into a bear market now, this would be the possible way of doing it. Remember how we had a 5-way move up into this wave 1? Well, that's going to be going into this possible as a wave 5 of a higher degree as well. So you can see there's a lot of hybrid overlap with these types of waves, these corrective patterns, these actionary waves, and these reactionary waves. All of them have hybrid overlaps in terms of where the termination points can be. So this wave 5 could be technically in, and that would be the end of the bull market. Now, this is not something that you guys want to be hearing, but again, stick with me just for a second, because if we zoom in, it's very difficult to count an actionary wave going into this move here. This definitely resembles a possible 3-way move to the downside instead of a wave 1, into going to the 3, 4, 5, because this 50% bounce off the lows was more than enough to convey an image that the markets want this to be at a higher level, or at least distribute, and a lot of people are ready to buy more XRP at these lower levels. So it's still showing signs of accumulation even when zoomed in on the shorter time frames. So with that being said, the only real way I can count this as a possible bearish structure is a 1-2, 1-2, and then continuation to the downside. But already it's not showing that type of structure. We want to be pertaining to the overall right look of having these 1-2 structures. And definitely, it's not portraying a right look of an impulse or an actionary wave to the downside. So with that being said, right now, this is really, really, really low in probability. But when you zoom out, it does have some merit in terms of being able to do so, because the validity is there. And that Elliott Wave Theory, it's all about probabilities, not certainties. So if we do have a probability, it's something that we have to discuss. And this is a probability. So we can say that the bear market is also in play if the markets want a bear market. But in my opinion, I don't think so. I think the first two scenarios of either distribution, where we have a longer wave 1-2, or we're just working straight for a fifth wave, is going to be my main primary scenarios going forward. So that's how we're going to look at it. The real only way we can be looking at this in terms of how we're going to identify whether it's distribution or a straight up 5 wave move to the upside is are we working correctively as a 3-way move, or are we working for a 1-2-3, which is impulsive to the upside? So if this wave 3 extends higher than our anticipated B wave, it's most definitely going to be an impulse to the upside. So that in itself will be easy to identify whether we're in a bullish continuation as a possible 5th wave, or if we continue to distribute and we work in a bullish distribution phase, this is going to be even more opportunity. And I am absolutely fine with that as well. Possibly going into 2026, that could be a level where we're going to be adding even more positions. Since I already sold 50%, if we come back down here and I are able to identify a possible flat, the risk of adding more positions is going to be a lot higher at that time than it is now. We just simply don't have enough information. But right now, these are the narrowed down scenarios going forward, and I'm going to be updating this throughout the weeks. So please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you so much. We also have a Discord membership. If you're interested in joining that, I do a lot of micro time frame updates. If you would like to see how this is being built up as a flat, or how, overall structures and my sentiment going forward, the Discord membership might be for you if you would like to get more insight onto the markets from an Elliott Wave Theory perspective. We also do offer a Patreon membership where I only do exclusive Bitcoin updates. So if you're interested in joining that, we do 2 video updates in there as well. So there's a lot of entry to barrier for everyone for how you would like to see my train of thought in the markets. So the links are in the description below. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Please make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, do whatever you can to support me. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a fantastic rest of the week. Goodbye.